going to take you through these three sheds. The one at this end is called the running shed, and that's where we stable locos that are currently in service. Yeah. The middle shed is called the four-road shed because it's got 4 roads, and that's a bit of a mixture. There's some stabling going on. There's a lot of graveyard stock in there as well, and stuff that's waiting for its turn in the overhaul, and it might be 50 years before it comes around. And then we'll finish off in the big shed, which is the heavy overhaul shed. We've got a couple of things that need overhaul in there, and that's an interesting aspect as well.
Yeah, very good. Oh, I see.
Where is he? Well, like I said, this is the running shed. It's empty because locals are out running, of course. There's a couple in here. This one's called Blue Circle, and it's just coming to the end of an overhaul. It's had some work done on the boiler, and it's all been in pieces, and it's just being put back together again. I think the motion is nearly finished. I don't know what time scale is for it coming out, but it's a curious thing. It's effectively a traction engine on rail wheels. So it's only got one cylinder, and it's got a flywheel, to get it over the dead centre. But it's a lovely little thing. We should do what the Sentinel is doing today. This can be used with a brake van to give people rides back and forwards, up and down the yard. This is a Wickham trolley. These were used by the P-way people who look after the track. And we've replaced the motor in it. It had an old magneto jump engine. And so we've replaced that with a diesel engine. And it's got a very strange transmission system. You can see the red wheel. Another wheel turn this way. So you have to bring the two together. And the friction drives, and depending on how far out on the wheel you are, the faster or slower it goes.
It's always running.
That's right, yeah. And that's been overhauled by volunteers here for the last 5 years, so that's in running condition. I'm sure anybody's ever been brave enough to sit on the seat hasn't been involved in it. This girl is from Poland. This is in the 1950s. It's a very, very powerful locomotive. Very short wheelbase. A little bit rough riding. Designed for pulling 2,000 trains around 1 mile. Not really for pulling passengers.
Is this what was used in James Bond?
I don't think so. James Bond is the big guardian, not 101.
Oh, right, yeah. So there's a foreign engine.
Yeah. Well, we're trying to think of having foreign engines.
Yeah.
The sound close to getting the best how big they are. This is the faithful service to realise. One set there for every one of the sets trains. All one. So it's really valuable. use on full, well, perhaps it's better go that way. Electric shunter. Its maximum speed is 2 miles an hour, so it's half walking pace. It's just been donated to us. The company, one of the rail operating companies, had no further use for it, so they actually brought it and dumped it on the track where DL83 is at the moment. And it took us about 3 days to get it to move. It's potentially of some use. It's limited. It doesn't have the ordinary coupling hoops that we generally use, so it's more for connecting to multiple unit stock and modern electric vehicles.
And the batteries are still okay on it?
Well, we've moved it from there to there, so that's as much as we got done. This is one of the great ones. I took it on to Remember and it ran until about 1990 or something like that. He has now passed on, of course, and his son asked if we could get it out of the tunnel, which is where it had lived for about 30 years, just to have a look at it and see what sort of condition, assess, get a feel for how much work is involved. And having had a look and got that assessment done, he now wants it back in the tunnel. So it's, as you can see, it needs some attention. This is an excellent airport from 1926. And this has been under overhaul here for about 20 years. A very small team, 2 or 3 people working on it and making fantastic progress. So it's inevitably slow. It's just come out of the Harrison wagon shop over the other side. They had its roof which isn't painted. And you can see there's still quite a lot of big zero panels. It's going to be lovely when it's finished. Yes, this is. This belongs to a member, and it's one of several that he owns under the title of the Peak Locomotive. And so he leaves it here. They service it. It runs occasionally. It's very useful during the summer months because it's a powerful locomotive. It can pull big trains, but it doesn't set fire to fields. Like the steam ones do. And from time to time, they offer driver experience courses. You can pay a ridiculous amount of money for a day. This is a Norwegian boat. I think this is one of the octopus coaches. And we started a quick overhaul about this time last year, and so some panels were taken off, and underneath was discovered to be far worse than anybody had thought. And so it's been put in here until some money is available.
Big fire tape.
So you have to allow for that and so we can then go out and get complimentary locomotives.
There's a couple of guys working on the electrics in this. You can see the wiring is all quite messy. And so they're struggling a bit because we don't have any manuals. But this is going to be a useful engine in the next 5 years or so, and once we get it going. Our other Sentinel, not the one that's running today, but the one called Barabel, the smaller one, that engine is coming to the time where it needs a full overhaul, so it'll have to come out of service, and this will step into that place. So the sequence.
How many people are on the team essentially trying to include them in service?
It's a bit hard to count because some people don't turn up very often.
That lot probably costs about £15,000. It will last us about 6 weeks. Very hard to tell. It comes in a lorry from Scotland. This is an off-road tram engine. It's made in Belgium, and it was going to be overhauled and made to look like Toby from Thomas the Tank Engine. Yeah. So this level frame, right as far as they got, we're going to put a shed like But when I first came here about 15 years ago, I was told that the bottom end was in a very good condition. I don't think it's been touched since, so it's probably still in a very good condition. Steam crane, this is from 1930. Finished days at Leeds and Doncaster, but we'd worked in London for a lot of time as well. And until about 5 years ago, we used to steam this quite regularly. And unfortunately, during COVID, the team that worked on it fell away, and so it was a couple of years out of service. We tried to get it back in service a couple of years ago, and we did do a couple of lifts with it. But it's expensive, it doesn't generate any money. If you look at the big pile of coal out there, it's another way of using that up. So it's very difficult to find a business model that allows us to run this, other than donations, grants, support from the Arts Council, and that sort of thing. unfortunately this just has to use the top of the bar yet. We will do. Great thing to go with. Little 40 tons.
Is this like a conveyor belt? Oh, I see. Oh, they know pieces up.
Take the car wherever you want to go. It's been completely stripped. You can see the sides have been taken off. New sides have been put on the other side. This is called Project Octopussy because the person in charge of the project was a fan, a James Bond fan, and so they wanted it called Octopussy. This has nothing to do with Octopussy, other than the title. And the idea is that we will refit this, and put a generator inside it, and it will generate electricity to supply the rest of the train. And so we can run modern appliances, fridges, freezers, coffee machines, all that sort of thing inside in the train to provide the passengers with the services that they expect these days. But as you can see, we're not quite there. The original plan was to have this ready in November. I don't think we're quite going to do that. The wheels are over here. This is a little steam engine called Jack Crouch. Its boiler is over there. Water tank is over there. It's in the middle of it all, as you can see. And the firebox has to come out. And then the firebox sides, you see this J-shaped thing. That has to go back on. And there's a lot of riveting, a lot of welding. I've just noticed there's a tube plate as well. We almost always have locomotives in your way. These are ones that have gone out of service and they're awaiting attention. There's one that's being processed over there. And it's just a swap out. So that the body wears out. We put a good one underneath to take the battery away. These are called V4 bogies. They were introduced in the late 50s and early 60s. And the most modern pirate. This is simply Peterborough. And this is the engine that started Heritage Railways in Peterborough. In 1968, a guy called Richard Payton, who was a reverend, he bought this from British Rail and had it driven down from Manchester to Peterborough, and he was going to put it on the slinks in front of the college. But when it got here, it was found to be in such good condition that all the people who were interested in rail, there's quite a few, said we should run it. And so they formed a society, and they ran this. They ran it for about 5 years, and it needed an overhaul. And then it got, that overhaul was done in Peter Brotherhoods, who was one of the engineering companies, still in Peterborough at that time. And then it ran for another 10 years, and then it needed another overhaul. That overhaul was done here by the staff and volunteers of the railway. And that took until about 2005. So it then ran for another 10 years. And then in 2017, we started taking it to pieces. And so far we've taken it all to pieces, and we're part way through putting it back together again. Taking it to pieces means taking the wheels, lifting the frames up so the wheels can come out. The wheels go away, the tyres, and these wear, and you have to regrind them to the right shape. So it's not too bad with the little ones, they're only weigh 2 or 3 tons. The big ones can weigh 6 or 7 tons. So supposedly we've got a crane with 10 tons written on it, so we can move stuff around. We've taken the pieces. There are about 1,700 pieces, and all of them were stamped with a little tag. Yeah, and there's a computer database that explains where they all are. So when we come to put them back together again, there's no problems at all. The cylinders, they're supposed to be circular, but they wear because gravity pulls the pistons down. So you end up with an egg-shaped cylinder. You need to bore them out back to circular, which means that they become bigger than they were before, and so the pistons that used to fit in them are loose. So we have to make some new pistons. That's what Bill and I have been doing over the last million years, it seems.
So the diameter gets bigger and bigger, isn't it? The more you do
up to a limit.
Up to a limit.
Yes. Yeah. This bit here is evidence. This was done at Peter Brotherhoods. If you look closely, you can see there's a crack there. It goes all the way around there, and this is a bit of
stabilised
patch to hold it together. And that's been there for about 40 years now. So I'm not inclined to touch it. Other things we have to attend. These are also there. So these are reground flat, which makes it go from there in the long place. So you have to put in new shims to adjust the height. Great fun. It's all great fun. And behind you, this is the left-hand side cam, and that's the driver's side. And these were in relatively good condition, but they were very dirty, and the paintwork was pretty awful. So we shipped them off to Peterborough Blasters, and they sandblasted or grit blasted them, take all the old paint off, the old dirt and all the old paint, and then they primed them that lovely white colour. It's not quite white, it's very light grey. So we drove through the streets of Peterborough, and we're in the process now of this one's being painted. There's little bits of patching every now and again, and at the top you can see where the rails for the windows have been fitted. So this will go on here. The tender is a success story. We're renting out the tender, and it's running behind a 9F on the Yorkshire Moors. So it's yes. And they're paying us so much per mile, and it's making a contribution to the cost of the water. Of course, it will need overhauling. Mind your heads when you come around the corner.
Do you ever find? How do you know?
same size as '92 squadrons. 6 foot 2 inches down. Well, they were on the size. They're probably only a bit one down. This is the right-hand side cab, and this is there are some welding defects, and so they've been cleaned up and they're waiting for such a primer before it gets painted. The boiler, the big bit that goes up there, is up in Lancashire, and that's been overhauled as a company called Riley's, who are famous in the Heritage Railway world. And effectively, it's a 70, 80-year-old boiler, and we're basically having to start again. The round bits were worn about half thickness at the bottom, so they were condemned out of hand. The firebox, which is 2 layers, you have an outer firebox of steel and an inner firebox which is copper in order to conduct the heat from the fire better. And that is in a the sides were they're held in place by things called stays, and they were all half broken. The place where the stays went into the metal, there was a sort of quilting effect. So you could see that it was not going to last another 10 years. And so we've had an unpleasant decision to make, which is to replace the copper, and that's the 2 copper sides are going to cost £20,000. It's just for a couple of sheets of copper that you can't see.
Yeah. Horrendously expensive.
So this is the tank of Derek Crouch. This sits on top of the boiler. One of the exciting things that we get up to is rotating that boiler. Pick it up by either end and swing it around. Do it when nobody's around with the camera. Well, that's right. This side of the TPP, you can see the new sizes going on.
Yeah.
Oh yes. So this goes on the end of the boiler, and all of the holes are where the tubes that connect the firebox to the smoke box. So the fire runs through the tubes, and it's hot obviously, and it heats up the water that's in the rest of the boiler. Tubes are fitted into that by, you just fit in and you expand them until they're tight. It sounds easy when you sit like that. It takes absolutely hours.
Yeah. No, I know exactly what I mean.
The smaller ones are for washout plugs. There's got some thread inside them, and so they're a little plug, and then you screw in. to make the boiler watertight, but you can take them out in order to squirt water in to clean the set. The water around here is very hard. I don't know if anybody else lives around here, but the water's desperately hard in kettles and things like that. And exactly the same thing happens inside. So we have a regime of water treatment to try and take all the lime out. Yes.
All the extras probably just keep it.
That's right. Yeah. All we have to do is run train. All the sheets have been welded in place. We buy the raw sheets. The railway's got a department, a carpentry department, who do the surgeons and buildings and stuff like that. And they're working to fix the doors. These. A little bit more teamwork. So what's good is good at paint. Okay, that's
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very interesting.
Are you Michael's dad?